بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Kashf al-Murad. As you know, we were talking about the objections that the Ash'arites have made against our role in our actions, in our voluntary actions. And we reached this point. وَمَعَ الْإِجْتِمَاعِ يَقَعُ مُرَادُهُ تَعَالَى وَمَعَ الْإِجْتِمَاعِ يَقَعُ مُرَادُهُ تَعَالَى. So as you know, Khaja doesn't mention the objection, but he gives answer to every objection, and we learn from Allama Halli what was the objection and then what Khaja meant when he gave the answer. So the answer is this: وَمَعَ الْإِجْتِمَاعِ يَقَعُ مُرَادُهُ تَعَالَى. When the two irada, two wills come together, means when we have the will of Allah and the will of the servant, the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happens. Ma'al ijtima' means when there is coexistence of murad of Allah, what Allah wants, what Allah wills, and what servant wills. The will of Allah, what Allah wants, happens. Yaqa' means becomes waqi', means happens. What does Khaja mean? Khaja wants to say there is no problem in having two wills belonging to the same action, will of Allah and will of the servant. But if there is conflict, if Allah wants something and servant doesn't want it, Allah's will happens. Or if Allah doesn't want and the servant wants, it doesn't happen, because will of Allah should be carried out. This is an answer to a kind of objection that Ash'arites have made. They said we cannot say our actions are things that we wanted, we willed, we decided, because then Allah wants them and we also want them. Means two wills belong to the same thing, and this is problematic. Why? Because if two wills belong to the same thing and then there is no harmony between these two wills, there is no agreement, what is going to happen? If Allah wants it and the servant doesn't want it, or Allah doesn't want it and the servant wants it, whose will is going to happen? And if you say just one of them happens by chance, it becomes tarjih bila murajjih. If you say no, one of the two wills happen, they say why one of the two wills should happen, not the other. And the answer is that we say two wills can belong, but of course will of Allah is stronger. And why you think that there would be a problem if will of Allah overcomes the will of the servant? So let's see what Allama Halli says. أقول هذا جواب عن شبهة أخرى لهم. This is an answer to another shubha, another objection for the Ash'arites. As you remember, I said shubha are those kinds of objections, or sometimes can be questions. Maybe the person himself doesn't give the answer, but sometimes maybe it's objection because the person has the answer from his own perspective. In any case, is something that can create confusion for those who are not very insightful, very well learned. Shubha brings confusion. things become mushtabah, confusing. So if someone is not learned, maybe thinks, oh, this is a very important point. Why, philosophers, Mu'tazilites, the Shiites, all say we have a role in our action and Allah has a role. There cannot be two wheels. This is shubha. First, see what is the explanation of the shubha. وَتَقْرِيرُهَا means تَقْرِيرُ هذه الشبهة أن العبد لو كان قادرا على الفعل. If the servant, as you remember, sometimes we say abd, sometimes we say mukallaf, it's the same thing. If the servant was capable and powerful over the action, means we had qudra that belongs to our action. When we want, we do it. When we don't want, we don't do it. We repeatedly said that qudra here for theologians means كون الفاعل بحيث إذا شاء فعل وإذا لم يشاء لم يفعل. When the doer, the agent, can decide whether I want to do it or I don't want to do it, he has ability to do both sides. Fail and tark, we say he has qudra. So they say if servant was qadir, لازم اجتماع قادرين على مقدور واحد. What would have been implied by that was that two people who have power, one Allah and one mukallaf or abd, would have same thing as a subject for their power. Allah wants this action or doesn't want, and the servant wants or doesn't want. وَالتَّالِي باطل. But to have two qadir for one maqdur, maqdur is the subject that power wants to belong to it, that action. وَالتَّالِي باطل, we cannot have two qadir for one maqdur, the same maqdur. So if tali is batil, P then Q. If Q is false, then P is also false. فَالْمُقَدَّمُ مِثْلُهُ. So abd cannot be qadir because there was an unacceptable consequence for abd being qadir. Because if abd was qadir, we know Allah is already qadir, so it meant what? What is Q? اجتماع قادرين على مقدور واحد. And we said this is not possible, so abd cannot be qadir. You may ask why there is such a thing, why there is such a shartiyya. بيان الشرطية أنه تعالى قادر على كل مقدور, because Allah definitely is qadir for everything. إن الله على كل شيء قدير. فلو كان العبد قادرا على شيء, if abd was also capable, لاجتمعت قدرته وقدرة الله تعالى عليه. It meant that we should have two things together. اجتماع means being together. Jam means to bring together. Ijtima means to be together. Qudrat of Allah, power of Allah, and power of the servant, both would do ijtima over what? Over the same maqdur, the same action to which the power belongs. Amma butlanu tali. Why to have two qadir for one maqdur is problem. فلأنه لو أراد الله تعالى إيجاده وأراد العبد إعدامه. If Allah wants to bring this into existence, for example, I want to speak, my speech is an action. If Allah wants me to speak, so Allah wants ijad of my speech. وَأَرَادَ الْعَبْدِ إِعْدَامَهُ, but I don't want to speak, I want to be silent. فَإِنْ وَقَعَ الْمُرَادَانِ, if a speech which was wanted by Allah and silence which is wanted by me, means not to speak, both of them happen, is it possible? Then I have to speak and not to speak. This is اجتماع النقيضين. Two contradictory things should happen. فَإِنْ وَقَعَ الْمُرَادَانِ means I speak and I don't speak. or adama, or both of them don't happen. Again becomes the same thing. Allah wants me to speak if I don't speak, and I want to be silent but I don't remain silent. It's not possible. So in both versions, whether both irada happens or both of them remain ineffective, the result is that I should speak and I should be silent at the same time. I repeat, suppose Allah wants me to speak and I don't want to speak, I want to be silent. If both of these irada happens, means Allah wants me to speak, I speak, I want to be silent, I am silent. So I am speaking and I am silent. It's not possible. Or Allah doesn't want me to speak and I speak. His murad doesn't happen. And I want to be silent and I cannot be silent, I have to speak. Again, is a problem, means I have to be silent and speak. فَإِنْ وَقَعَ الْمُرَادَانِ أَوْ عَدَمًا. If both of them happen or none of them happens, لازم اجتماع النقيضين. It means that two contradicting things, speech and silence, should happen. وَإِنْ وَقَعَ مُرَادُ أَحَدِهِمَا دُونَ الْآخَرِ. If you say no, we don't say both of them happen. One of them happens, okay. Why you are preferring one side over the other side? لازم الترجيح من غير مرجح. If you want to choose one over the other, it would lead to preferring without having preference, or something which brings preference. والجواب أن نقول, the answer is to say, يقع مراد الله تعالى. The will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happens. لأن قدرته أقوى من قدرة العبد. This لأن solves the problems of ترجيح بلا مرجح. Why power of Allah has to overcome or override the power of the servant, and the will of Allah overcome the will of the servant? Because Allah is stronger. لأن قدرته أقوى من قدرة العبد. How can a servant resist, or even worse, stop the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We cannot even resist, let alone we go and challenge him. لأن قدرته أقوى من قدرة العبد وهذا هو المرجح. And this is مرجح. Then Allah makes an additional point, and that is, how did Ash'arites learn this point? How did they come to know about this thing? هذا الدليل أخذه بعض الأشاعرة من الدليل الذي استدل به المتكلمون على الوحدانية. Some Ash'arites have taken this reason, this argument, from an argument that theologians, mutakallimin, bring for unity of Allah, for Tawheed. You know, when we were discussing about Tawheed, we said one of the arguments for Tawheed is what we call burhanu tamanu'. Burhanu tamanu'. Based on the ayah. Not that we are using the ayah, but it's inspired by the ayah, because ayah is actually involving a rational argument. It's not that because Quran says Allah is one, we say Allah is one. We have rational argument also to support that for the people who don't believe in the Quran. Allah says in a very rational way, لو كان فيهما آلهة إلا الله لفسدتا. Had it been there that there were gods other than one God in the heaven and the earth, فيهما is السماء والأرض لفسدتا, then the sky and the earth would have become corrupt. So what mutakallimin say, inspired by this ayah as a proof for Tawheed, one of the proofs for Tawheed, is that if there were 2 or 3 gods, each of them wanted to run the world in the way that they want. For example, one says, I want to send rain. The other one says, I don't want to send rain. What's going to happen? There would be conflict. One of them wants to, for example, send the sun from the east. Another wants to send from the west. You would have problem. This is in addition to the problem that there would be no order in the world, there would be no harmony in the world, there would be no connectedness in the world. All these problems happen. So they have learned this point over there and they wanted to apply it here. But the difference is that over there we were talking about gods who are at the same level. The problem was if we have lords, wajibul wujud, more than one, there's going to be tamano, means one of them would disagree with the other and they can conflict with each other. But here we are not talking about 2 or 3 gods. We are talking about God and his creature, his servant. There is no similarity between the 2 cases. Certainly God is much more stronger. Actually, there is no way to compare someone with his own creature. Creature is not independent so that we can say how much power the creature has, how much power God has, and which one is stronger. Even to say God is stronger is not very accurate. So هذا الدليل الذي أخذه بعض الأشاعرة, this argument that some of the Asha'ira have taken من الدليل الذي استدل به المتكلمون على الوحدانية. This is what or we can read it as a statement. هذا الدليل أخذه بعض الأشاعرة من الدليل الذي استدل به المتكلمون على الوحدانية. This is a dalil that some of the Ash'arites have taken from the argument, means they are inspired. They have taken means they have derived this from that. Their argument that theologians have made for Tawheed. وَهُنَاكَ يَتَمَشَّى. This dalil hunaka means in the discussion about Tawheed, yatamasha. Yatamasha means it can work. Mash means walking. It walks. In English we say it works. But it means that it can come. Means it's working. Why yatamasha hunaka in the discussion about Tawheed? Because لتساوي قدرتي الإلهين المفروضين. Because when we suppose 2 gods or 3 gods, aliha or more, anyway, they are equal. None of them has preference over the other. Amma huna, but here, fala, it doesn't work here. Why? Because here, as we said, they are not equal. Okay, so alhamdulillah, one objection finished today. We had few, of course, before, but the first objection for today finished. Now we go to the next one. This one is brief, but the text is a little bit difficult. So I hope, inshallah, you would understand it easily. وَالْحُدُوثُ اعْتِبَارِيٌّ. وَالْحُدُوثُ اعْتِبَارِيٌّ. Khade only says hudus is i'tibari. You remember from especially philosophy courses, some concepts are called i'tibari. I'tibari not in the sense, because i'tibari has different meanings. Sometimes i'tibari means based on contracts. Based on contract. For example, milkiya is i'tibariyatun, ownership. We agree, and sometimes in different ways in different societies, that if you do this or this or this, you become owner of this money, for example. Either you get it through an exchange, or when you work, or you rent something, or you inherit. There are different ways. You say you become owner of this thing. This is اعتباري. It's not that a real relation between you and that money comes to exist. But this is not the sense that we are using here. Another sense for اعتباري is what we said in philosophy about معقولات الثاني, second intelligibles. The things that, if you remember, we said we have معقول ثانية فلسفي. Philosophical secondary intelligibles are the things that can be applied to the objective or external facts, but they don't exist by themselves. They don't have ما به الإزاء العيني. There is nothing that we can say this is علية, for example, causality. You cannot say this is causality. You see, fire is burning wood. Fire is the cause. Okay? And burning is the effect, معلول. There is no third thing outside separate from fire and burning that you can point at that and say this is causality. But still, it is true to say that in the real world, not in my mind, in the real world, fire is burning. Causality is a reality. But causality exists with the existence of cause and effect, not separate from them. This is why they say that عروض ذهني اتصاف خارجي, or they say منشأ انتزاع exists, but there is no ما به الإزاء المستقل. The same thing that I said in English. Basically, in my mind, I can say fire is causing burning in the wood, but outside there is nothing that I can point at as causality. I can point at fire, I can point at burning, but I cannot point at causality separately. Hudus is such a concept. Hudus is اعتباري. Means that Hudus is not something that is existing by itself. Hudus is not something which is created by itself. It is not that God creates Huduth. Huduth means to come to existence after not existing, to be preceded by non-existence. Allah doesn't create Huduth. Allah creates A, B, C. Allah creates the wood, creates horse, creates, I don't know, human beings, creates, plants, flowers. He creates different things. These things which are created, they have this quality of being hadith. Like fire is illah. But I cannot point at huduth separately and say this is huduth. This is what is created by God. So, this is what Khaja Rahmatullah alayh says. وَالْحُدُوثُ اعْتِبَارِيٌّ. Huduth is اعتباري. Now, let's see why he said this. What was the problem that he wanted to answer? أقول هذا جواب عن شبهة أخرى. This is answer or reply to another objection. ذكرها قدماء الأشاعرة. The earlier Ash'arites had made this shubha, this objection. وهي, what was the shubha? The shubha was this. أن الفاعل. This sentence is a little bit difficult, but inshallah we will explain it. أن الفاعل يجب أن يخالف فعله في الجهة التي بها يتعلق فعله. فاعل, they want to use this as the basis and then say we cannot be creator of our actions. What they are using as the basis is this. Fa'il means the doer of the action. must be different from his own action. يجب أن يخالف فعله في الجهة التي بها يتعلق فعله. From that perspective or that point, that action belongs to that point, fa'il must be different. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates a ma'lul, an effect, or creates a mumkinul wujud, he cannot be ma'lul himself. He cannot be mumkinul wujud himself. Or he creates a human being, he cannot be human being himself. There must be a difference between fa'il and his fail, his act. So this is the basis of their position. Al-fa'il yajib an yukhalifa, huwa means fa'il, fi'lahu في الجهة التي بها يتعلق فعله. Fa'il must be different from his own action, which is what he does here, means in the sense of he creates, in which, in jaha, that the action belongs to it. If the action, which is his ma'lul, his creature, has a quality, that quality should not exist in fa'il. If fa'il has created a human being, for example, or a contingent being, or a ma'lul, he should not himself be a human being or contingent or ma'lul. Here they talk about huduth, wa huwa al-huduth. They say Allah has created huduth. We are all hadith, muhdathun. Hadith is ism fa'il lazim, muhdath is ism maf'ul from bab if'al, which is muta'addi. Muhdath means something which has made hadith. We are all muhdathun, we are all makhluqun, we are all created. We are all brought into huduth, into existence after not existing. So Allah created huduth. We cannot create huduth, because it means that then we would share the same thing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We said fa'il should be different from fi'l. If I can be muhdith, Allah cannot be muhdith, because there must be a difference. This is their argument. There are different problems. It seems that there are more than one problems in this argument that they have. But one problem is this: أن الفاعل لا يؤثر الحدوث. Huduth is not something which is created. Your problem is that you think huduth is something which is created. Huduth is i'tibari. We don't have anything outside to say this is huduth. We have outside Zayd, Amr, Bak, Shajar, Baqar, Hajar. We have all these things outside. These are created. Huduth is not created. Huduth is what our mind, after reflection on the things which are created, abstracts, does intiza of this concept. Like Aliyah. When I see fire and I see that then the wood starts burning, my mind abstracts the concept of aliyah. So أن الفاعل لا يؤثر الحدوث is not that fa'il brings and creates huduth. لأن الحدوث أمر اعتباري. Huduth is اعتباري. اعتباري in the sense that I explained. Means huduth is معقول ثانية فلسفي. Huduth is something which is taken after انتزاع, abstraction. ليس بزائد على الذات. Huduth is not something additional to the mahiyat that we have. In the sense of, for example, imagine if we have Zayd, and Zayd stands up. This qiyam is another mahiyya added to the mahiyya of human being. Or this Zayd becomes alim. This ilm is additional to the essence of Zayd, which was human being. But huduth is not additional. When Zayd is created, you can also abstract the concept of hadith. ليس بالزائد على الذات. Otherwise, وإلا لازم التسلسل. If huduth was something additional, then we have to say, okay, this huduth was created. Then there is a second huduth when it is created. Huduth of huduth. And then huduth of the huduth of huduth. Then this goes without any end. No, huduth is not created. Something is created which didn't exist, and we abstract the concept of huduth. وَإِنَّمَا يُؤَثِّرُ فِي الْمَاهِيَّةِ. The fa'il, the object for yu'athir, the doer, I mean, the one that does ta'thir, is fa'il. We said al-fa'ilu la yu'athiru al-huduth, wa innama yu'athiru means yu'athiru al-fa'il fil mahiyya. Fa'il creates mahiyya. Zayd, Amr, Bag, which are human beings. Or shajar, hajar, baqara, this type of things. Allah creates trees, animals, and so on and so forth. Stones. وإنما يؤثر في الماهية وهي مغايرة له. In my نسخة, my version, in your version is لنا. وهي مغايرة له in my version, which means this mahiyya is different for him, means different from him. Allah is not a contingent being which has mahiyya, which is true. So we can assume your basis that you said fa'il and fail should be different in that point or that consideration, that the fail has. Fail is mumkin, Allah should not be mumkin. Or you can say fail, which is creatures, is a hadith, Allah should not be hadith. This is true. But don't say fail is huduth and Allah has created us, so we cannot create. This is the problem. Wahiyya means mahiyya mughayiratun lahu. Lana seems not to be very accurate. Lahu is the version that I have, which Ayatollah Hassan Zada Amali has edited, is put lahu. Maybe we can find another way to explain that, but the point is the same, that mahiyya is something that Allah creates, and by reflection on a mahiyya and seeing that it didn't exist and now it exists, we come to the concept of huduth. Mughayiratun lahu. This is better. The next problem, وامتناع الجسم لغيره. Alhamdulillah, we still have some time. وامتناع الجسم لغيره. Khaji Rahmatullah Alayhi says, jism is impossible because of something else. What does Khaji mean jism is impossible? This is again answer to an objection by the Ash'arites about us, for example, creating jism. It says God creates, for example, ajsam. We are not creating ajsam. But that's another problem. It has nothing to do with the issue of us being in charge of our action. أقول هذا جواب عن شبهة أخرى ذكرها قدماء الأشاعرة. This is an answer to another objection that the earlier Asha'ira have said. I went to another part. هذا جواب عن شبهة أخرى لهم وهي أننا لو كنا فاعلين في الأحداث. The same thing that I said, just I was reading from another part. أننا لو كنا فاعلين في الأحداث لصح منا إحداث الجسم. If we were creating فاعلين, fail here, act means to do something, means to bring something to existence. For example, fa'il here is also creator. لو كنا فاعلين في الأحداث, if we were able to do some إحداث, means bring something to existence, لصح منها إحداث الجسم. We would be able to create أجسام, physical objects. I should be creating wood, I should be creating stone, I should be creating water. Can I create these things? No. So I cannot create my action. This is their argument. This is the logic. لو كنا فاعلين في الأحداث لصح منا إحداث الجسم. It could be possible for us to create physical objects. لوجود العلة المصححة للتعلق. Why? Because there's a common illah, and that is huduth. My actions are coming with huduth, they are hadith. Wood and stone are also hadith. So if I can create my own actions which have huduth, I can create also wood and stone. Of course they want to say, because we cannot create a stone and wood, I cannot create also my own actions. But we say, why you are, don't distinguishing between these two. It's not that we say everything which is hardest I can create. Yes, it is true that my actions are hardest, stone and wood are also hardest, but I didn't say everything which is hardest I can make it. Can I make a human being? There are many things that even I cannot do about myself. I cannot give life to myself, for example. I cannot give, better memory to myself. I cannot give, more power to myself. It's not that we said everything which is hardest we can do it. So لوجود العلة المصححة للتعلق وهي الحدوث. Why it's possible that based on accepting we create our actions, we must create jism, because the cause which makes it correct for something belonging to us is huduth. It's a common cause. Illatun mushtaraka. My actions like speaking and silence are hadith. A stone and wood are hadith. There is something common between them. If I can create my speech and silence, I should create also stone and wood, because they are sharing the same cause, which is huduth. Wal jawab, but what is our answer is أن الجسم يمتنع صدوره عنا لا لأجل الحدوث. The problem is much more than this. The problem is not that we said we cannot create a stone and wood because they are hadith, and just because they are hadith we cannot do them. Yes, if I had told you that because they are hadith I cannot do them, you can say okay, your actions are also hadith. But I didn't say because they are hadith I cannot do them. And you cannot say in the whole world there is only one point, and that is huduth. When they are hadith you must do them, and when something is not hadith you cannot do them. Huduth is one thing. There are many things, other things to consider. How much power I have. There are certain things which are hadith and I cannot do. أن الجسم يمتنع صدوره عنا لا لأجل الحدوث. Yes, it's impossible to be issued by us or from us, not because of حدوث, so that يلزم تعميم الامتناع, so that you say then this impossibility should be extended to our actions. Anything which is hardest, including our actions, has to be impossible. بل إنما امتنع صدوره عنا, but the reason أجسام cannot be issued from us is لأننا أجسام, because we ourselves are جسم. We ourselves are in this physical world. والجسم لا يؤثر في الجسم على ما مر. In the previous discussions that we didn't study, because we didn't study tabi'iyat in the book, he has explained that something at the level of jism cannot create jism. Must be something above jism to create jism. So the problem is that our power is not enough. We didn't say because ajsam or hadith we cannot create them. Okay. Then there is another objection. وتعذر المماثلة في بعض الأفعال لتعذر الإحاطة. If you let me inshallah finish also this objection would be great. Just we have 5 minutes inshallah, I hope we can finish. If sometimes we cannot bring the same thing exactly as it was in the first time, is not because we are not fa'il. It's because we cannot embrace that thing 100% with our knowledge. You know, sometimes, for example, maybe I draw a painting and then you ask me, do it again. It's very difficult to make it exactly the same. But you cannot say this shows that you didn't do it in the first place, because if you had done it in the first place, you must be able to do it in the second place. Yes, I'm able to do it in essence, but I don't remember all the details. Like, you know, sometimes a person shoots an arrow and it hits the target. The second time doesn't. You cannot say, so the first time also you didn't shoot the arrow. Because if you had done it, you should do it every time. No, the first time I did it, but the second time I couldn't do it. Because there are so many considerations, and also I am one part of this, you know, the whole thing. There can be wind, there can be many things. So, تعذر المماثلة في بعض الأفعال لتعذر الإحاطة. If mumathala is impossible, please remember this point many times in fiqh, usul al-fiqh, in philosophy, kalam, we have the term ta'azzur, and this is different from ta'assur. Ta'assur comes from usr, means difficult. If something is difficult, difficulty means ta'assur. Ta'azzur means impossible. It's not mumkin. So we have ta'azzur, opposite to, or not opposite, but higher than ta'assur. تعذر المماثلة في بعض الأفعال. If with respect to certain actions we cannot bring mumathala, means same things, similar things. What is the reason? لتعذر الإحاطة, because we cannot embrace all the details with our knowledge. أقول هذا جواب عن شبهة أخرى ذكرها قدماؤهم. This is answered on another question or objection that قدماء الأشاعرة have mentioned, earlier Ash'aris have mentioned. وهي أننا لو كنا فاعلين, if we were فاعل for our actions, لصح منا أن نفعل مثل ما فعلناه أولا. This is لصح. In your version is one alif is extra. لصح منا أن نفعل مثل ما فعلناه أولا. It was correct for us to do similar to what we did in the first time. من كل جهة. This is أولا. ما فعلناه أولا, not أولا. It's أولا. There must be no space. لصح منا أن نفعل مثل ما فعلناه أولا من كل جهة. It must be possible for us to do exactly from every point, every aspect, the same thing. لوجود القدرة والعلم. Because if I have done it, means I had the power and I had the knowledge about it. والتالي باطل. But they say this is not possible to do it exactly the same way. فالمقدم بطل. So it means that I didn't do it myself. وبيان بطلان التالي. Why it's not possible to bring it exactly the same. أن لا نقدر على أن نكتب في الزمان الثاني مثل ما كتبناه في الزمان الأول من كل وجه. If I have said something or written something or painted something first, there's great chance I cannot do it the same. Imagine, you make a text for a speech. Can you do it again exactly the same? Unless you have great memory that you remembered all the details. But this is because of memory. Even if you have memory, it's because of memory. It's not because of you necessarily have to remember all the details. If you are the agent of the action. لا نقدر على أن نكتب في الزمان الثاني مثل ما كتبناه في الزمان الأول من كل وجه. We are not able to write in the second time exactly from every aspect what we wrote in the first time. بل لا بد من تفاوت بينهما في وضع الحروف ومقاديرها. About how to use the letters and how many words, how many characters, there could be lots of differences. So this is their point, their shubha, that because I cannot do it exactly as I did it the first time, so it means even in the first time I didn't do it. وتقرير الجواب أن بعض الأفعال تصدر عنا في الزمان الثاني مثل ما صدرت في الزمان الأول مثل كثير من الحركات والأفعال. وبعضها يتعذر علينا فيه ذلك. He says sometimes we can do the same thing without any problem. Sometimes we cannot do. لا لأنه ممتنع. Not that because the action is impossible. It's not impossible. ولكن لعدم الإحاطة. Khaja said لتعذر الإحاطة. Because we don't remember and don't actually mean every details. When you make a speech, when you write something flows. It's not that you meant how many letters should be in this line, how many characters should be here. It's not that you decide about all these things. لا لأنه ممتن. Not that because it's impossible to do it the same. It's not impossible to do it the same. لكن لعدم الإحاطة الكلية بما فعلناه أولا. Because we don't know all the details about what we have done in the first time. فإن مقادير الحروف إذا لم نضبطها. Because the number and the size and all those measures, if you don't record it and memorize it, لم يصدر عنا مثلها. Then the same thing doesn't happen إلا على سبيل الاتفاق. Maybe yes, sometimes just randomly actually you are able to do the same. Maybe. But normally it doesn't happen unless you record it and try to do it again. But this is not an essential problem. You cannot from this argue that even in the first time I didn't do it. No, I did it and maybe I can do it again, but there's no necessity that I must do it all the time the same way. Otherwise you say you didn't do it. So alhamdulillah, we managed to mention 4 objections of the Ash'arites and give answer to them, and inshallah we will continue this discussion next week. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. If you have any questions, please feel free to put forward.